Me too.
Yeah, so was I.
I was tossing and turning. I was telling my brother earlier. Yeah, I was tossing and turning, and I ended up getting up at like 2:15. Um, and had a handful of chips and watched a little Sports Center, and then went back to sleep at 2:15. It didn't help at all.
We got home last night from my in-laws about 1:30ish,
Mm-hmm.
and I crawled into bed right at just as the clock on my phone rolled back,
Yeah.
and I laid there and tossed and turned until it was 2 o'clock again.
Yeah. All right. Hello. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends, Old Sleepy People. We are covered by the BIPCOT no government license, which allows for the use and the reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except the governments and the bludgeons thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also covered by Brandenburg v. Ohio 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything said here on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion is entirely hypothetical. This is episode 201. Yeah, we're over the hump, you guys. 201. Woo!
You're still listening to us. What is wrong with you?
Yes. maybe talk to somebody about that.
It's mental health check time.
This is my therapy. Fuck off.
Well, it's our therapy, but for the people that are actually listening, they're the ones that were like,
See, what is this?
What's wrong with you?
So this is episode 201, so I've done like 196, 197.
Ugh.
Yeah. I feel retarded.
Don't we all?
Here we
That's
are.
why we're
every week
here.
with you, buddy.
We're all.
Shaller coming in right away. Whoa. There are 4 faces on the screen. What the fuck is going on?
It's a blessing or a curse.
Yeah,
Faces for radio, man. Faces for radio.
What's terrible things come in threes? This is the first one.
Yep.
What, tomorrow you're gonna have a flat tire, and then you're gonna blow out the crotch of your pants in front of a pretty girl.
Oh. See, I thought locusts, but you know.
Well, they
Rivers
did
running his blood.
They did just find a new chamber full of sarcophaguses.
Yeah,
in one of the pyramids in Egypt. Yeah.
You put those back right now.
Put it back. Put it back.
Imhotep.
Well, you remember in what was that 20? That was right at the beginning of 2020 or whatever when they found the like,
black one.
Black one, yeah. And everyone's like, "Oh no. I don't know a lot about Egyptology, but I know one thing, and you do not open the black sarcophagus."
Well, they say in this room there's a couple dozen of them, I believe is what it was.
The site that they found had close to 200 at last time I checked it.
Oh, see, that's even worse. What
We're
the
doomed.
fuck?
We're fucking doomed. That's
We're gonna be sitting outside, and the big swarm
That's
of locusts is
Imhotep
gonna come.
and all of his priests right there.
Right?
There was a few years ago they found
God damn it.
a few years ago they actually found like an underground mummification like business in Egypt, you know. And what's hilarious is what they realized is that they were like the sarcophagus in it had been opened and reclosed like a whole bunch, and they realized that what this business was doing was mummifying people and then putting them in the sarcophagus so the family would come down and see them in the, you know, in their final resting place, blah blah blah. And as soon as they left, they were pulling them out and just reusing the same stone sarcophagus over and over again. They're like, they're shysters.
That's the worst kind of shyster.
Oh my god!
speaking of stone sarcophagus, I saw a video of a guy who made a cement sarcophagus and then suspended in a box of clear acrylic a bag of flaming hot Doritos, and then he put the top on the sarcophagus and buried the whole thing with a note for future generations to open. Yeah.
Why?
That was the whole thing. It was like a 6,000 pound concrete sarcophagus that he built. Like the lid weighed like 900 pounds alone. Yeah. Also that he could put a large bag of flaming hot Doritos in it.
Why?
For future generations.
What all that's going to do, right, as a historian who's dating an archaeologist, like I'm telling you right now, that's just going to confuse everyone in 1,000 years. They will look at that and be like, did they worship these? Like, this appears ceremonial. Like,
to be fair, some people do.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like the point. It's like an epic futuristic troll.
I mean, yeah, it is. I've always thought it would be great to like do a bunch of historical collecting of like various antiquities, various things from throughout history, and be buried with all of them, so that there is no freaking way an archaeologist could possibly date your grave because everything is from a different time period.
It's 3,000 pounds, not 6,000 pounds.
It's still over a ton.
I feel like I missed something here when Chloe stopped down.
You probably did.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you what it is, but you did.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can watch the show later if you want to catch it.
No, it's not that
You can find
important.
it on our Rumble channel at rumble.com/Valhallarchist. Oh, here I'll drop the link in the group chat for you, Andrew.
I'm just so confused. Like, why?
Because some people have different priorities, bro.
That's just weird. I mean, I appreciate weirdness for weirdness' sake. I do. But that's real weird.
You know, some people go out and buy social media sites. Other people build sarcophagus for future generations.
I mean, you can't argue against that logic.
I mean, I could see doing the concrete thing and then sticking like those spring-loaded snake things in it, like just a whole bunch of.
Oh, that's
so.
That was the thing I didn't mention is the flaming hot Cheetos, right? It's in an acrylic box, right? It's airtight, but then they have eye bolts screwed into it, and the entire thing is suspended to protect it against like earthquakes and the earth shifting, things like that. So it would just bounce freely suspended, so it wouldn't damage the acrylic box that everything is in.
This is so much effort for absolutely no good reason.
Yes. I mean that's
exactly it.
Yeah, viral TikTok user builds 3,000 pound sarcophagus for flaming hot Cheetos.
I don't get flaming hot Cheetos either. Like, I don't like them at all. I don't understand people who do.
I'm not a fan
think
either.
They're gross. I think they're.
I've had them once in a blue moon, but I mean, I was more of a fan of chili cheese Fritos.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the AnFam chat for Scott to see. Oh, there you go. Yes.
It's so confusing. I don't understand like why it's so much effort for flaming hot Cheetos. I mean, apparently you would be right in assuming that he worships them, or that somebody worshipped them, and that's why they did this, because he clearly must worship flaming hot Cheetos in order for him to have put in this much effort to preserve a single bag of them.
I mean, people.
Shaller's got a point.
I mean, most of us were banned for trolling on social media. Others were banned just for existing.
Yeah, I was just banned because I existed.
Yeah, like you never trolled anybody.
I don't know what
your
you're
memes were
about.
fucking why you got banned.
They were. Yeah, probably my. I mean, because I had all of my side quest memes, and then I had my welcome to the Boog memes as well.
I
and-
dropped that one in the podcast chat too. The podcast channel on Telegram, so you guys can see it. But speaking of trolling, the Twitter thing with Elon opening it up to people can purchase their verifications, right? So a blue check journalist from the Blue Check the Independent wrote an article saying that blue checks are the new MAGA hats.
I mean, they've always been kind of like a MAGA hat.
Yeah, they were
There's-
the polar opposite of the MAGA hat.
They're. But the fact that the people with them are now acknowledging what we've all known, which is avoid blue checks. I still love my for a while there, my Twitter, the bar across the top, the banner thing was "Eat the blue check marks."
Eat the blue check marks.
So and there's of course that meme, the "shut the fuck up blue check mark" meme that people would use all the time whenever there was an obviously bad take from somebody with a blue check. They just 100 of those in the replies.
Too bad you didn't have like a Pac-Man eating just a bunch of blue check marks.
All right, now that's a meme idea. That's a meme idea. Do the Wojak troll face as Pac-Man.
If you do that, then somewhere on there you got to have the ghosts too, with somebody's face superimposed on them.
It'd just be an NPC ghost.
Just be
There you
NPC
go.
ghost, yeah.
NPC ghost is perfect.
But they have to be
The
blue
chair-
at the time.
Well, no, the cherries can be the crying laughing emoji. The tears laughing emoji. There you go. We got that down. Somebody with talent has to make that now.
Yep.
Not me.
Yeah,
Not me either.
I mean, I can probably do it. I don't know.
A
All
lot of
right, fine,
effort
but I'm gonna
involved.
complain the whole time.
Oh, well, hopefully you make memes better than the Packers play football.
I am so glad I didn't watch that game. Oh my god.
Oh man, I watched the first half and then I went to the woods because I was so disgusted.
It was the only one I wanted to watch, and I didn't have it locally, so I had to watch highlights, or highlights, quote unquote highlights, on Red Zone.
That was such an abysmal game.
I'm gonna say, were there highlights? Because I feel like looking at the score at the end, there probably were not.
The only highlight I saw was the NFL Network tweet of the video of the fumble going crazy.
So what you're saying is that there was I completely lost my train of thought. You said tweet, and I was going to say something to the effect of Green Bay put out like this really good idea, and then it completely backfired on them. Tweet something, right? That was a segue.
That was a really poor attempt at trying to force the segue out of that.
Hold on.
Honestly,
I'll read the headline and it will make sense. White House deletes tweet praising Biden for inflation.
Yay!
I love when they say the quiet part out loud.
Because of his
didn't mean to
leadership,
say
I
that.
believe is what it said. And you're right. It is because of his leadership.
At least they were accidentally honest.
Seniors will receive their largest increase in Social Security benefits in 10 years. That's incredible news. Well, not exactly, though the official White House Twitter account might try to persuade you otherwise.
And Dave, you absolutely were banned from social media because you talked to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got put on the same loser boat and kicked off.
It
on
was
Monday,
your association with something specific that we'll talk about later in the show, actually.
Yes. Two things, actually. Three if you count that other one, because it was two guys that were arrested. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
On Monday, the White House Twitter account announced that, quote, seniors are getting the biggest increase in their Social Security checks in 10 years through President Biden's leadership.
Yay!
However, the account quickly deleted the tweet after commenters pointed out the obvious. The increase wasn't due to Biden's leadership, but the rapid inflation occurring under his watch, which is massively increasing the cost of goods and services for American seniors, thus requiring under federal law that they receive larger checks. Yay.
Yay, but under his leadership, hooray!
Golf clap.
Yeah, I love that they're like, and that they keep doing shit like that, right? Like where they keep saying like they're trying to gaslight the American people into thinking that like
I saw that
all of
exact
this
headline.
is a good.
I saw that
like a good
exact
idea.
headline today on one of the sites. Biden's trying to gaslight America.
Everybody who's actually paying any sort of attention to anything is starting to really wake up and see this all for the giant shit show that it is.
Over the past 12 months, inflation has stayed troubling high, increasing to as high as 9.1%, leading to widespread anxiety about the nation's economic future. A recent Gallup poll found that 49% of respondents listed, quote, the economy as extremely important for their voting choices. Adding to the turmoil, the government will have to beef up Social Security spending for the program by 8.7% to account for the rising cost of goods and services. Following a 1972 law signed by President Nixon, the value of Social Security checks is tied to annual inflation. However, the increased spending is likely to ramp up Social Security's race towards insolvency, which the New York Times is reporting that the quote budget experts warn that the reserves could run out before 2034 as a result of the larger benefits.
Yay! Leadership.
We've all been saying for quite a while that our retirement plan is societal collapse.
I just imagine Jeb Bush and from the nosebleed section. Please clap.
Yeah.
Please clap.
Please clap. And then this is yeah.
Like insert Friends laugh track here. Oh.
Such a terrible show.
Tell. Yeah, I was going to say, you can generally tell when a show is definitely not, in fact, funny. Yes. When it needs to have a laugh track to tell you when something is supposed to be funny.
Yeah. Like the White House champion inflation.
Yeah. Yay, inflation. Well, remember, first it was inflation is transitory. Then it was, well, I mean, it might look bad, but it's not actually as bad as it is. And then it's like, but here's why inflation can be a good thing.
They tried that with I think CNN or CNBC. They were putting out articles about how inflation is good because it would cause your paycheck to go up.
Yeah, and it's like
not at the same rate as fucking inflation.
Every single economist, even Keynesian economists, are going.
Hold on, wait a minute.
That's not how that. What?
That's not how that works.
No, hold on. And there's another one. There was another poll, not by Gallup, but one of the government think tanks, and it was like 57% of the people in the poll said yes to more of the checks being handed out. Yeah. Woo.
Handing out tons of fake money has caused inflation to happen. So to compensate, government's going to hand out more fake money, which is going to make inflation worse. So then what we'll need is more fake money to further make inflation worse.
And so forth and so on.
Yeah. It's, they tried this in another country not that long ago, kind of in the middle of Northern Europe there, and didn't work out real well.
They tried that in Central Africa also.
Yeah. They've tried it in Central America.
Yeah. Southern America also.
Yeah. See, so.
No, but wait, hold on. We have a solution. Brought to us by the fantastic Democratic Representative Sean Patrick Maloney. He says his ideas to combat inflation is that we should all just have some Chef Boyardee.
What?
I mean, I'm not an economist, but I feel like maybe it's a little late for the ravioli plan of action.
Democratic Representative Sean Patrick Maloney said when inflation put the squeeze on his family, he popped a can of Chef Boyardee and declared, quote, "That's what families have to do." The House Dems campaign fundraising chief, who is also a 5-term incumbent representing the Hudson Valley, gave a glowing endorsement Saturday to Beefaroni and other Chef Boyardee canned pasta products when asked about his plans to, quote, "fight inflation."
I should have worn my fucking.
Hold on. Quote, "Well, I grew up in a family where if the gas prices went up, the food prices went down. So by the time of the week, we'd be eating Chef Boyardee if that budget wasn't going to change. So that's what families have to do."
I just.
So he's going for the top
like
ramen argument.
Yeah, I would just yeah, exactly. I would just like to point out that
Andrew's holding up his Brondo shirt.
it's got electrolytes.
It's what plans
That's
crave.
what plans crave.
The thirst mutilator.
Oh,
You
Yeah,
know,
the-
if Chef Boyardee is your solution, maybe you should figure out how to hunt. Last time I checked, squirrels are free.
yep.
I
Hold
mean,
on.
This is the
Hold on, it
whole
gets-
reason, though. The whole reason I held up that shirt is because all I could think of is I got a solution. Bear with me now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hold on. You know this gets better, right?
You had to say it.
You had to
That-
say it.
He said that's what families have to do. He then listed government actions to try and curb inflation, such as capping seniors' out-of-pocket Medicare expenses and negotiating the lower prescription costs.
That's not how this works.
Quote, "That's long overdue." In addition to that, we've released 90 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That's what's taken about $1.30 off the price of gas. That's a big help. We've got to do more to keep that price from growing back up and keeping it down. Okay, hold on. 90 million barrels. The U.S. uses about 18.5 million barrels a day. They released 3 days worth of oil from the reserve. 3 days.
Yep.
They released 3 days of oil from the reserve.
Woohoo!
That is not what dropped at 100. That was not what dropped at $1.30.
Yeah, no. It
Not
you
even
know,
close.
the thing is, like this. They people like quick economics lesson. Okay, so when there is somebody who has to work to produce a thing or to do a thing, that is value, right? That has value. You don't undo inflation by simply stating, nope, it only has this much value no matter how much work you do. That just means you're doing even more work for less money, which is exactly the definition of fucking inflation.
They just need to cap the price of Chef Boyardee, bro.
Mhm.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
It just
Chef Boyardee and ramen capped the price at like 99 cents, per pack.
Government
Honestly,
cheese and government spam headed to your door next week.
if capping the price of things helps prevent inflation, then Costco's hot dog combo is officially saving the economy.
Their
mean-
rotisserie chicken too.
I can't argue against that. It's a good hot dog. It's a pretty good hot dog, and at $1.50, it's a really good price.
This isn't. No, that isn't. You can't stop inflation from happening just by going no. But it's still happening. No, it's happening right now. I refuse. No, it's right now. Right now, it's happening. Nope.
And
That doesn't work.
Jack says inflation is what happens to my belly after pains. Yeah, deflation is what happens when you fart. I mean, that's,
Which coincidentally is worth just as much as $1 at this point. So, like, this is, I mean, it's one thing when people are like, oh, well, here's why breaking windows for a better tomorrow makes sense, right? That's already dumb. But when you start going, oh, just eat cheaper food, that'll help with inflation, and we'll just say that things can't be any more expensive than this, you have crossed into the realm of absolute fantasy. You are now divorced from reality.
Yes.
I mean, on a fundamental level.
Not only divorced from reality, but you are completely pandering the false image. You are. I mean, we released 90 million barrels, bro. That's why the gas prices went down. Dude, that's 3 days worth of gas. That's 3 days worth of gas over what, 2 years?
Woohoo! We're saved.
Woo! Wow.
Thanks, government.
If you were
thanks for that crutch after you broke our legs.
If you're stranded in the middle of the Mojave Desert and somebody's like, but look, I brought an extra gallon of water and there's 5 people, you're going to go, well, that's great. We're just going to take slightly longer to die. That doesn't help anything.
You're stranded in the desert. Here's a Chef Boyardee can full of water.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys. I have several cans of ravioli. We're gonna be fine. No. Oh, we're saved. Oh wait, one of these is the spicy. No. Cursing the heavens and
chicken and stars.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, I brought a spaghetti one. It doesn't have meatballs, you monster.
Does Chef Boyardee make a vegan option? Because I think the green. I think they would prefer that. I have to look that up now. Thanks. Now I got it. Now I have to poison my head with that.
I mean, you can buy, if you are so inclined, canned bugs. So,
one of the forefront bug restaurants is actually here in the Bay Area.
Why am I not surprised?
Some bugs aren't too bad. I'm a big fan of snacking on crickets from time to time. They're not too bad.
I'm a fan.
They're crispy.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I understand that one.
I've raised crickets for lizards and shit. I can't get past that smell, so I don't know if I could actually eat a cricket.
And they're pan fried. They're lightly seasoned. They're actually delicious. I have a couple of boxes of them in the pantry right now.
No, they do not make. They do not make a vegetarian Chef Boyardee. No.
That would be about the same taste as the vegetarian MREs.
Oh, the vegetarian. I actually had a guy who I thought he was fucking with me, right? And he was like, "Oh, my favorite MRE is definitely the vegetarian omelet." And I'm like, "Ha ha ha!" And then he's like looking at me confused, and I'm like, "You're serious? What is like? I'm not going anywhere near that guy. I am not going to fall asleep in that man's presence. I have no idea what's wrong with him, but it's a lot."
Who hurt that man?
Yeah, like what has happened to you in your life?
Show me on the MRE where they hurt you.
My
right
God.
along the document, the picture of the rock or something.
Yeah, rock or something.
That's like the people. That's like the people who will trade for the poppy cake.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
No, poppy cake is gross.
The lemon poppy seed pound cake is the greatest dessert you can get. That shit was like pure solid gold.
No.
It's actually permanently screwed me up. Like where if I see lemon poppy seed pound cake, I have to get it because I eat it.
Let's be fair. You have to be fucked up to do what you did in the first place.
So,
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, but it was delicious. It's so good. It's like one of the few delicious things in it that you don't have to dump Tabasco in, which then they took out of them because they're absolutely evil.
They took the bottles out and then put in like the packets.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Kind of. I mean, just like I will kill you with my MRE spork for that. So help me.
Brandon says Whole Foods are where it's at, brothers. I agree. I went to Whole Foods yesterday and bought 2 pounds of chocolate covered peanuts.
I go to Woodman's because choices, especially in frozen pizza.
I bought 2 pounds. I bought 2 pounds of chocolate covered peanuts for $4.25 a pound.
I don't even know what the by the pound candy is at Woodman's. I haven't bought any in so long because I already consume enough sugar between the Monster and the beer. I don't really need candy on top of that.
Well, no, I don't need, but I would rather have those over a can of Chef Boyardee. So, all right, let's go from
ravioli time to time, It's cold because I'm a monster.
Okay. Now this is a serious question. This is a serious question. The raviolis or the mini raviolis?
Oh, the full size ravioli.
The full size, of course.
Yeah. Or the overstuffed ones, ideally, if I can find them, but they don't always have.
The overstuffed ones. There's like 3 raviolis in the whole can.
There's like 6.
But they're the size of a hockey puck.
Yeah, they're gigantic.
Like you could actually cross-section that can in 5 places and give one to each of your family members.
Would you take a can of overstuffed raviolis, suspend it in a clear box in a 3,000-pound cement
I had a
sarcophagus,
feeling that's where you were going with that. No, but I have a feeling my kids would do that to a box of macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see doing to a box of Kraft macaroni because, that shit kind of. All right, that's a thing that's worth preserving for future generations.
2,000 years down the road, somebody digs it up and they're like, "This still has the instructions on it."
Yeah, well, why do you need instructions for macaroni and cheese? Step 1: boil noodles. What
Add packet.
Dude, there are instructions on Pop-Tarts.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
And not just one set. There are 2 sets of instructions, one of them for a microwave. I mean,
yep.
If there's
the microwave, and then there's the toaster oven one, right? The toaster one. The
Toaster.
pizza rolls now have instructions on them for the air fryer.
Hell yeah. See, now that's awesome.
No.
There's frozen food stuff that comes specifically for air fryer now. And they're actually really good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When we make fried chicken and stuff, we make it in the air fryer. And oh, my God.
I don't know. There's something to be said about how you kind of lose out on the greasiness of fried chicken if you make it in an air fryer. I'm just saying,
we don't
that's
really
part of
have
the
that
niceness
problem. We don't really have that problem.
Dave just sent me a photo. Dave from Poppins. Those are blue check marks.
Hey, buddy.
There you go.
Is that our next patch? Drop it.
No, we asked him about the Pac-Man on the last one. He said that patchlabs.de they were doing the Pac-Man stuff, and he didn't want to step on toes, which I respect.
Let's send that to them then, and have them make it.
Okay. We're gonna go from one bad idea to another.
We go from one bad idea to
Sounds about
every
sounds
episode.
about the tenor of this podcast. Yeah.
Connecticut Democratic Governor Ned Lamont. He suggests making grandfathered assault weapons illegal. There are currently about 80,000 of them that exist in the state of Connecticut.
Gosh, it's almost like we talked about how the next step, even if they put in a grandfather clause, is to
to take them away.
Take it away.
It's funny that it's in Connecticut. I feel like maybe somebody in history has tried exactly that sort of thing in Connecticut. In memory, and it didn't go well. That's how we got the U.S.
Good luck with that compliance rate.
Yeah.
I'd say about half of the people, at least half of the people that still have their grandfathered rifles will just go, "Oh, these aren't legal anymore," and they'll bend over and hand them over.
Yeah. Governor Ned Lamont said this week he wants to go after thousands of firearms legally kept in Connecticut under several grandfather provisions in the state's decades-old assault weapons ban. The governor first made these comments in response to questions Tuesday night during the gubernatorial debate when he tussled with Republican opponent Bob Stefawisky over the issue of crime and gun control. Quote, "He won't touch the guns," Lamont said of his rival on stage. Connecticut.
And that's supposed to be a bad thing. He's not gonna take away people's Second Amendment rights, guys. And we all know how much you don't want to have rights.
Yeah. Connecticut has some of the strictest gun control laws in the nation, including a ban on assault weapons that was first passed by lawmakers in 1993 and later expanded following the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School by gunmen wielding an AR-15 rifle and 2 handguns.
Which
Despite
was
the ban,
already practically banned in Connecticut when it happened.
So is shooting people.
Yeah,
Despite the ban,
funny. It's almost like
criminals don't
obey laws.
Criminals don't.
Despite the ban, the Government of Emergency Services and Public Protection has issued 81,849 certificates of possession for assault weapons to gun owners who legally possessed the weapons prior to the expanded prohibition taking effect in 2013. Officials estimate the actual number of legal assault weapons in the state is much higher due to a number of other exemptions in the law, including those for active duty military and police officers. Quote, "I think those assault-style weapons that are grandfathered should not be grandfathered. They should not be allowed in the state of Connecticut. I think they're killers." That's according to Lamont during the media session following the debate.
I bet you Lamont supports the exemption for active duty military and law enforcement, though.
Oh, of course.
Because
quote,
it's
"Start
rules for me, not me."
Yeah. Quote,
Exactly.
"Start by making them illegal. I think that would be a big difference. That is what you start with." Ooh, big brain on that guy.
You know what we should do is we should make murder illegal. And then that way no one would ever do it.
Totally.
Because that's how laws work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There have only been, 340 some odd murders in Wisconsin this year so far, which is encroaching on a state fucking record. But hey,
While we have an anti-gun loon in the governorship. What a shock.
Lamont goes on to say, quote, "I'll work on that with the legislature. I'd like to get things done, not just have a political talking point. I think the world would be a lot safer place. Connecticut would be a lot safer place. And our cops would be safer if there weren't so many of these assault weapons out there on the street."
I feel like a couple of years ago, the Democratic Party had a slightly different position on police than we need to make them safer. Remember that? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I do.
Yeah.
It was at that point in time I was actually kind of a fan of the Democrat Party.
So, State Representative Craig Fishbein, a Republican out of Wallingford, said, quote, "If you remove a grandfather provision, I guess the government is proposing confiscation." Yeah. Duh, bro.
That's if you're going to make them illegal, you're literally proposing confiscation. That's what you're doing.
Yep, that's what.
Mm-hmm.
Something that is, historically in New England does not go particularly well.
Yeah. Lamont goes on to say, quote, "Too often our cops are outgunned. Look what happened in Bristol. That was an assault weapon. There were 80 shots in under a minute."
What are you, fucking NRA RSO?
Raise your orange. Where's your orange flag?
What? There were 80 shots in under a minute. That pretty much every modern rifle is very capable of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much fire as fast as you can do this with their finger.
Yeah. Even a bolt action or a lever action rifle is perfectly capable of firing that many shots in a minute. That is not particularly fast. That's only that's less than 2 shots per second. That's not That's not that fast.
That's not a lot. That's not a lot.
It's not fast.
But yeah, that was just another not good idea. I just had to bring that one up because I really hope they do something like this though. Like we talk about, you know where I'm going with that.
They're going to be.
My attorney has strongly advised me not to offer my opinion on this matter.
Brandenburg Field.
Minecraft.
No, don't throw me into the briar patch.
We'll go with the whole, festive fish, or my personal favorite.
Yeah, there you go. So
yeah, I was debating which patch to wear. That like I almost wore my the keep your rifle by your side one, and then I was like, nah. And then I looked and I had my I didn't lose shit one, and I thought about wearing that one.
I mean, like, okay, so inflation is going up, right? Food's getting more expensive. People are getting more angry. Political violence is becoming normal.
Again,
people are turning against the government at a greater rate, and your idea is, now's a good time to take away their firearms.
Yeah, I mean that's something let's take
away the firearms from the broke, angry people who are currently suffering because of the government.
That's gonna work out well.
What could possibly go wrong?
I mean, that's one of those things though that I've been discussing with people the past the past week too. Is what you have to remember is that historically, if you look back through history, well-fed, wealthy people don't rebel.
Mm-hmm.
Well-fed, wealthy people tend to be very sedate. They tend to just go with the flow and not argue. It's when you have famines and people, when people start getting real hungry and they can't afford things that they need, that's when upheaval starts to happen. If you look throughout history, every major revolution, like cultural revolution, literal actual shooting revolution, whatever, every major revolution comes after some sort of a hardship, either financial or food-wise. Famines cause empires to topple. Like, that's what they do. So as we're getting to this point with supply chain issues and shortages and rampant inflation and everything else, and that is when you want to stir the pot even more. You don't like your job, do you?
Or your life.
Or your life. Because historically,
you're not a big fan. Yeah, historically, that has not worked out very well for the people in power.
I mean, that's you look at what's going on in Iran right now, where the privations of people have started to cause them to just not care. Because what do they have to lose anymore? They have nothing to lose anymore, so they're perfectly willing to do anything it takes because they're either going to die by
Haiti also. Haiti right now is in the same position.
Yeah,
dude, Haiti is a country that is so sad because it had an opportunity. It was so close to being.
What did Haiti know about Hillary Clinton?
But it was so close to actually being like a legitimate country that had economic power and could have been on the world stage, and it was that France in particular could not allow that to happen. They couldn't allow a country that was full of slaves and things to get power, so they wound up making them. I don't know if anybody knows this, but the reason that Haiti is independent, they didn't go to war. They bought themselves from France, and they bought themselves from France in the early 19th century, and they didn't pay it off until a few years ago because of the interest on the loan that France gave them to buy themselves. That's why Haiti is so economically destroyed. It was having to pay this loan back that was so huge and intentionally engineered to punish them economically for daring to not want to be part of France.
Yep.
And you notice France now is not the France of 1800, right? But they still certainly didn't argue about getting those payments, did they?
No.
They still accepted them.
Nope. Okay. We have
Well,
three
and
places.
You talk
Go ahead.
about going along with that, Andrew. You talk about how that destroys an economy. Think about how damaging the war reparations were in that northern European zone after World War One. What happened with that? I mean,
Yeah.
if only we had a historian that could tell us these things. But
Gee, it's almost like maybe having a bunch of money getting sucked out of the economy vampirically is a bad thing.
what?
I don't know about that. That's hard to swallow, like a overstuffed Chef Boyardee ravioli.
They are delicious. I'll have you know, delicious. You just get some buttered bread, right? Heavily buttered bread, and you just set them on there, and you just fold that sucker in half, and you just eat it like a sandwich.
What? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew has sucked down one of them things whole.
Andrew sucked down a lot of things whole.
I'm not a marine.
It did that one time.
It was one time.
Hey man, $20 is $20.
Especially when you're driving through Georgia.
Hey, you have to account for inflation. It's 40 now.
Hey man, I ain't here nothing but
28.50 is 28.50.
Yeah, but 28.50 is $15. All right, and
Where do we want to go now?
To hell, and I'm driving.
Oh, that's a very good idea. Let's declare a pandemic amnesty.
And this is why I wore this shirt right here. The 2020 coronavirus FEMA summer camp.
We have to touch this article. We have to touch this.
Don't mind the glare.
This article is just absolutely fucking not.
Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, and this girl got dragged so hard on Twitter. The ratio was
amazing.
Oh, it was
the ratio
amazing.
was just terrible. Like she posted the article, and then the Atlantic posted the article, and both of those were just
They just got annihilated.
The comments gave me some hope. I'll put that out. Just put that out there. The comments gave me some hope. Okay.
The vast majority of them went something like this. Fuck you, no.
Fuck you, no.
Yeah, that is pretty much what it was too. It was no.
Pay no attention to the flag over my shoulder over here. Is it?
Yeah, fuck you, no. It's on our ticker too.
I mean, and I think that it's important to point out that this author has written other articles.
Yes, she has written several other articles.
What other articles has she written? Let's see. She's written an article that said vaccinated America has had enough. Vaccine refusers don't get to dictate terms anymore. Vaccine refusal will come at a cost. Also, it might be ghoulish to make fun of unvaccinated deaths, but it's also necessary. I can't imagine why she now wants us to just pretend it never happened.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going into the article. She wrote this in first person. So, in April 2020, with nothing else to do, my family took an enormous number of hikes. We all wore cloth masks that I had made myself. We had a family hand signal, which the person in the front would use if someone was approaching on the trail and we needed to put on our masks. Once, when another child got too close to my then 4-year-old son on a bridge, he yelled at her, "Social distancing!" These precautions were totally misguided. In April 2020, no one got the coronavirus from passing someone else hiking. Outdoor transmission was vaguishly rare. our cloth masks made of old bandanas wouldn't have done anything anyway. But the thing is, we didn't know. I'm just saying it was like May 2020. Andrew was vaping through his mask.
I literally vaped through my mask and then exhaled. It got real hot, but but I literally inhaled water vapor and then exhaled water vapor through the mask.
Christopher pulled out his problem solver.
The problem solver 9,000.
But it fires at 80 rounds a minute.
What's that?
Problem solver 556.
Yeah. 30.
This is actually my son's. Mine's upstairs. So.
Yeah, 30 caliber clips per second. He still refuses
I'm
to
just
leave
saying
the
that
LA
there's.
Council.
I'm just saying that there are solutions. I won't say what they are. That there are solutions.
Don't forget
That
the Dutch back in the 1500s did in fact eat their prime minister. So there are definitely solutions.
That would also solve the issue with the food shortages.
Look at that!
Yeah.
Just eat
Two birds with one stone.
Take a page out of Adam's Family Values. Stick a politician on a rotisserie. Just do.
The problem is so many of them are so old they'd be too tough. You'd have to pressure.
There are ways of tenderizing.
I was gonna say you'd have to pressure cook that shit, man.
No, they got lots of Botox. They're well preserved.
They have lots of Botox. You don't want to eat them. Yeah, don't eat those people.
We already eat a credit card worth of plastic each week, or each month, or something like that. So it's really not that much difference.
Yeah, but that's not botulinum toxin. Like.
Okay, I have been reflecting on this lack of knowledge thanks to a class I'm co-teaching at Brown University on COVID. We spent several lectures reliving the first year of the pandemic, discussing the many important choices we had to make under conditions of tremendous uncertainty.
How about you just didn't have to, be a fucking cock gobbler?
I would say the first year of the pandemic, you mean when you wrote an article that said that basically people who didn't wear masks should be beaten in public?
Yes, don't forget old people dying alone without their family in homes where the government sent sick people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Remember New York? That whole thing?
Yeah.
Michigan?
Yeah, California.
Oh! Don't get me started on it. We'll get started on Michigan in a minute.
Second hour is going to be so spicy. Some of these choices
we're already fired to fuck up.
Some of these choices turn out to be better than others. To take an example close to my own work, there is an emerging, if not universal, consensus that schools in the U.S. were closed for too long. The health risk of in-school spread was relatively low, whereas the cost to students' well-being and educational progress were high. The latest figures.
Why didn't anyone say anything? Oh wait.
We did.
We tried, and they deleted our Twitter account.
Yeah, exactly.
The latest figures on learning losses are alarming. But in spring of summer of 2020, we had only glimmers of information. Reasonable people who cared about children and teachers, advocated on both sides of the reopening debate.
No, they didn't. No, they only advocated. People who actually cared about children only advocated on one side.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, and it was not for making them wear masks and to sit isolated.
Well, not only that, or to take the experimental jungle juice.
We'll get in that. Another example, when the vaccines came out, we lacked definitive data on the relative efficiencies of the Johnson & Johnson shot versus the mRNA options from Pfizer and Moderna. The mRNA vaccines have won out. They're not fucking vaccines.
Not vaccines, though. They're not.
They're not even therapeutics at this point.
Yeah.
But
In
at
fact,
that
in a
Over
lot
the
of
counter is better.
The
Well,
federal court
there
has
have been
literally.
there was documentation not that long ago that came out that was part of the Pfizer document dump. You know, they're required to do some that indicated a -7 for efficacy
Mhm.
on people who showed
Five-
signs of
5 to 11
previous infection.
Yeah, 5 to 11-year-olds. It actually made their efficiency or their resistance
Susceptibility.
to it less.
Yes.
It
It
actually
made the immune
increased
system worse.
susceptibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Chris, what type of business do you work for?
Healthcare.
Yes.
I work for a hospital.
Okay, hold on. But at the time, many people in public
Just
health
saying.
were either neutral or expressed a J&J preference. This misstep wasn't nefarious. It was the result of uncertainty. Hold on. Andrew, hold on. Do one paragraph. Obviously, some people, some and it's written in italics.
Andrew's eyes twitching. He's gonna blow.
Hold on. Obviously, some people, and some is written in italics.
Planes taking off.
Obviously, some people intended to mislead and made wildly irresponsible claims. Remember when the public health community had to spend a lot of time and resources urging Americans not to inject themselves with bleach? That was bad. Misinformation was and remains a
That was fish
huge
tank cleaner.
problem. But most errors were made by people who were working in the earnest for the good of society.
And as we all know, working for the greater good has only ever been a calling card for people who have legitimately everyone's best interest.
Remember when they worked for the greater good of the African American community by injecting them with syphilis?
Remember when a specific group of Germans worked for the greater good of German society by exterminating millions of people.
You can't talk about those people. You'll get canceled like Kanye.
Yeah, you can't even mention.
I didn't say what people he eliminated. I just said he was exterminating them.
If only we had Josef Mengele as a doctor on this. I mean, then he clearly always worked for the greater
candidate
good.
for this job.
Oh. Oh man. Okay.
If only we had 3 to 5 million people in camps that we could use for experimentation.
Hold on. Okay. There's a line coming up. There's a line coming up, and I know Andrew's going to lose his fucking mind. Given the amount, I'm not going to tell you which line it is. Given the amount of uncertainty, almost every position was taken on every topic. And on every topic, someone was eventually proved right, and someone else was proved wrong. In some instances, the right people were right for the wrong reasons. In other incidents, they had a present understanding of the available information.
There were a lot of words there. I don't think a fucking thing was actually said.
And
so this was vomit.
In some instances, the right people were right for the wrong reasons.
Here's the thing. This is not word vomit. This is a specifically chosen set of words. Mm-hmm. This entire article, if you look up the word narcissist in the dictionary, this article, right this is demonstrative of true narcissism.
Yes, hold on. Give me 2 sentences, and that says that the 2 sentences explains that previous line. The people who got it right for whatever reason may want to gloat. Those who got it wrong for whatever reason may feel defensive and retrenched into a position that doesn't accord with the facts. All of this gloating and defensiveness continues to gobble up a lot of social energy and to drive the culture wars, especially on the internet.
So, as I said, this is demonstrative of absolute narcissism. When you look up narcissism, It's this, right?
No.
This is what narcissists do. They demand, and I can't possibly be wrong. You're all wrong. You're all wrong. Demand.
This is
and comply.
This is absolute gold medal gaslighting.
Oh,
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Because then now, when you think about narcissists, what happens is when they're proven wrong, or they finally get caught doing something that is wrong, at that point, instead of admitting that they're wrong because they physically can't do it, because they're narcissists, they have such a high opinion of themselves, they will say things like, well, why don't we just forgive and forget, or can't we just move on, or they'll say like, well,
or what does it matter now?
Yeah, why does it matter now? Yeah, what does it matter? What does it even matter now? Yeah, they'll say things like that. They'll say,
well, that's like Hillary Clinton after Benghazi.
Well,
what difference at this point does it make?
Yeah, exactly. What difference does it make? They'll say things to not actually apologize. They will first try to just deflect and go, let's just forget about it and move on, even though they were wrong and they hurt people doing what they did. They just want to move on from it. And then when they truly can't, then they start doing what she's doing right here, which is not actually an apology. She's intentionally phrasing things where if you don't pay attention to what she's saying, it almost sounds like she's going, oops, we were wrong, we're sorry. She's not actually saying that, though.
She's saying we were wrong, but
bring herself.
No, she's not even saying they were wrong.
No.
They were right for the right reasons at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So okay.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is she's not actually saying I was wrong. She's not actually saying I did something wrong. She's saying, and you were right. She's saying, well, I mean, maybe it turned out that you were correct, but not for the correct reason.
Nope.
There were mistakes on both. We both made mistakes.
The AOC line, right? It's better to be functionally or morally right than functionally correct or whatever it was.
Factually,
more
right?
factually.
Correct, yeah.
Yep.
So that was half the finished paragraph. These discussions are heated, unpleasant, and ultimately unproductive.
They're productive.
In the face of so much uncertainty, getting something right had a hefty element of luck. And similarly, getting something wrong wasn't a moral failing.
Yes, it fucking was.
Creating pandemic choices as a scorecard on which some people racked up more points than others is preventing us from moving forward.
See, can't we just move on? Who cares who was right? We both said things that we regret. No, we did not. I don't regret anything that I said.
Nope.
Not a single thing.
Yes, exactly, Brandon.
Cool story. Now walk the plank.
Yep.
There's
sharks down there.
There's the other one. It's the meme. It's the three guys in full kit looking down. Yeah, cool story, bro. Keep digging your hole.
Yeah, keep digging.
Yep.
Yeah. Digging. It's the thing is or the SpongeBob meme with the casket open and cool. Now get in. The thing is that like
I do the same thing with a wood chipper. Okay.
None of us said things that we regret. We were right the whole time. We have been completely vindicated that we were right. And something that we predicted was going to happen as well. We have been completely right. We didn't tell people they couldn't work and make them go broke. We didn't massively increase the suicide rate. We didn't massively increase the domestic violence rate. We didn't developmentally delay children.
We didn't even tell them that they couldn't take the jabs if they wanted to.
We didn't even tell them
said,
to wear
don't
masks.
force people to do it.
If you want to.
All we wanted was freedom of choice.
Exactly.
That's all I ever wanted was freedom of choice.
I just wanted the option to say no.
Yep. Yeah. Hold that thought.
We didn't do harm to anyone. You did. And now you want to go, well, let's just forgive and forget. Of course you want that because you hurt a bunch of people when you were wrong and we were all screaming that you were wrong and you didn't want to listen.
No. That's like I think I shared the video with you guys. There was an interview on Tuesday with Steven Crowder, and a guy, a mortician from the UK. They've been finding people, young people, with abnormal clots in their veins.
Yep.
That they can't even properly embalm the bodies unless they make 5 or 6 different incisions to remove these clots.
Yep.
And they're all jabbed.
Oh,
Every last one of them is jabbed.
Oh yeah, and all those kids that are dying, it's because they got excited over video games.
Yeah, you notice that right after the jab starts becoming big, all these kids start dying, and then suddenly all these articles come out about, oh, this could cause a heart attack, this could cause a heart issue, this could cause a heart issue. Basically, they admitted that absolutely everything could cause a heart issue except the jab. That one thing that's in common with everybody who's suddenly developing heart issues is definitely not the cause.
All right,
and I guarantee you, give it a year, and they're finally going to have to fucking admit that one too.
All right, put your sunglasses on. Here comes the bright gaslight. We have to put these fights aside and declare a pandemic amnesty. We can leave out the willful purveyors of actual misinformation while forgiving the hard calls that people had no choice but to make with imperfect knowledge.
Except you're one of the willful fucking purveyors.
Los Angeles County closed its beaches in summer 2020. Ex post facto, this makes no more sense than my family's mass hiking trips. But we need to learn
almost like
from
we
our
fucking
mistakes.
said that at the goddamn time. In fact, I remember us covering that exact fucking article.
We need to learn from our mistakes and then let them go.
So you learn from your mistakes. Fuck you. The rest of us will keep living our lives.
We need to forgive the attacks too.
No!
No!
Because I thought schools should reopen and argue that kids as a group were not a high risk. I was called a, quote, teacher killer and a genocidaire.
That's just a public service.
It wasn't pleasant, but feelings were high, and I certainly don't need to dissect or rehash that time for the rest of my days. Moving on is crucial now because the pandemic created many problems that we still need to solve.
So she...
Jack says, I forgot about people going to jail for the beach. Idaho was still prosecuting that lady for her kids using the playground equipment.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually, I have a friend that lives in Southern California who he's still paying off the fines he incurred for going surfing.
Yep.
You know, my favorite though was that guy who went out and set a mannequin out on the beach on a towel.
Yep.
And like there's just this massive like SWAT police response to it, and he just filmed the whole thing to demonstrate how ridiculous it was. Fucking genius. But here's the thing though, right? And you forget something for running your car or cooling dried chicken, not forgetting people killed and cooking dried chicken, I assume he means. And crashing the economy. Exactly. So that's the thing though, is like what I think is funny.
Not only that, Dave, but remember, these people isolated the most vulnerable people in our communities, right?
There were people that had to. There were
mothers. There were mothers that had to deliver their babies alone. Right?
There were families that had to watch their elderly relatives die over Skype.
Zoom. Right? I mean, you remember the plastic sheet with the plastic gloves going through it, where you could finally quote unquote hug your loved one?
Remember when we
talked
about that article with that woman had to be issued a prescription for a hug? In order to be willing to
her hug her grandkids.
Yeah. It was absolute psychological damage that was done to society as a whole. Like that happened.
There were billboards in my local community for a small local clinic that said, I got vaccinated so I could hug again.
Yes.
See, and that's the thing. And we did not do those things. Those of us who were not Branch Covidians, those of us who saw through the cult hysteria, we didn't hurt people. We didn't do those things. We kept saying that's what they were doing. Through the whole thing, we kept saying that. And she even mentions that once it got to the point that she finally broke from the Branch Covidians even a little bit, well, it was real hurtful, and people were so mean, and they all act,
That's what we all lived through for the last 2.5 fucking years.
Yeah, the tiniest bit of what you did to the rest of us, you now kind of understand because of that. And you're willing to forgive and forget that, not because you're feeling some form of amazing altruism, not because you're a fucking suddenly Jesus, all right? It's because you don't want to actually have people remind you of the damage that you and people like you caused. You don't want to have to face that.
For anybody who's not watching this, I'm holding my 13-month-old daughter in my lap right now. This right here is the reason why I stood my ground. This right here is the reason why I walked into my boss's office when they said that all healthcare workers were going to have to get the jab. And I said, you're going to have to lead me out of here in fucking chains if you think that you're going to stick a needle in my arm with that shit.
Yep. All right. The last paragraph. I'm gonna skip a few paragraphs. The last paragraph. The standard saying is that those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. But dwelling on the mistakes of history can lead to a repetitive doom loop as well. Let's acknowledge that we made complicated choices in the face of deep uncertainty, and then try to work together to build back and move forward.
Build back better? Was that the direction she was going there?
This whole thing has destroyed any credibility that any of the talking heads, any of them, have had or could ever try to rebuild. It's destroyed all of it. And the reason it's destroyed all of it is because there are so many people now that are inured to it, where they're just like, nope, I'm not believing a word you fucking say. I don't care.
Well, yeah, and there are plenty of doctors who now are complaining that the whole COVID hysteria thing has set back people's trust in the medical world 100 years. Because no one will believe anything doctors say anymore. No one trusts anything they have to say, even if it's reasonable.
And that's because all the fucking doctors sat there and said, well, you need to get your COVID shot. You need to get your COVID shot. You haven't got your COVID shot? I can't see you anymore as a patient because you refuse to get vaccinated.
Oh, yeah.
You need to find a new doctor.
My almost 100-year-old grandmother was forced to get the shot if she wanted to keep seeing her doctor, which obviously at almost 100 years old, you need to do. So
she's in the vulnerable, right? Her immune system, her age, everything like that actually made her susceptible to COVID.
So she went and got the shot and then got super, super sick for like several months. She was incredibly sick. And it was really concerning. And now, after that, she's like, I just wish I never would have gotten that. But you can't undo it, can you?
My grandpa, who's in his 80s, survived COVID. He had like a mild fucking case, was still convinced to go get the fucking jab. And as soon as he got the jab, all of a sudden he's getting fluid built around his heart, his lungs, his organs. Yep. And the only fucking pill that he could take that relieves that is like $1,000 a bottle per month.
Say
and
bye.
He's like, fuck it. And now he's like,
bye.
And now he's fucking touch and go. He has, days that he can't fucking walk, and it's like, and this is a guy that fucking has lived on his own. He used to be a fucking lineman at the phone company. He used to go out in the fucking Vegas heat and mow the grass and shit with no problem in his 70s and before this bullshit. And he's barely fucking surviving now because of that fucking jab.
Yep.
Yep. Brandon commented, they tried keeping me from picking up my kids from school because of the mask mandate that the after school program had in place, not the actual school who didn't make kids wear them at all during class. Brandon's up there in Northern California. I think not Shasta County, but just South Shasta County. But Shasta County, very, very, very red. And the people that controlled the county were kind of moderate. The local militia ran recall and got them all kicked out of office and had their own people voted in. Like a militia literally took over Shasta County as a response to the government response to COVID.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean Jack said in the in the chat a little bit ago, like basically consider the following: we don't need them.
No,
we don't need these people.
We don't.
We don't need these people.
No.
We don't need to.
That person right there, Emily Oster, who wrote this article, who wrote this piece, contributes nothing positive to society.
No.
At all.
At all.
Nothing.
In fact, all she did during the scamdemic, all she did was introduce more animosity towards people like us who are willing to stand our ground.
She chastised, criminalized, and dehumanized the very people she is now asking for amnesty from.
Yep.
Yeah.
As Jack Curtis points out too, he's like, think of all the surveillance tech they were allowed to introduce as a result of this.
Not only the surveillance tech, but the economy on the backside of this, right? The economy, the inflation going up from all the relief bills, and then the shipping and all the factories shutting down, and all of that contributing to the inflation of prices on the back end, which is again contributing to the dollar weakening and all this other. It's so bad. Like from March 2020, like we will be dealing with the ramifications of what they did. They, in quotation marks, what they did for a decade.
Probably. I mean, I think it's
probably
fundamentally altered society as a whole.
Oh, absolutely.
Fundamentally altered.
There were 3, 4, 5, 7-year-olds, right, in school having to wear masks 24/7, 365. Like they were literally told, if you're not wearing a mask, you're gonna kill your grandma.
Well,
right. You remember the videos of the little kids crying when their parents took off their masks because they didn't recognize them.
Yeah, they'd never seen them.
They'd never seen
without a mask on. Remember all of the infants that they refused to allow to breastfeed. Yes. Right, and remember that breastfeeding it's so important because it helps to transfer immunities.
They weren't allowing parents into the NICU.
Yeah. Oh, more than all three of my daughters.
They weren't even allowing parents to hold their kids immediately post-birth.
Yeah, like all three of my daughters had to go into the NICU. Right, all three of them. The twins because they were twins, and what happens. Yeah. And Rose because the hospital was retarded. But the thing is, like, if someone had told me you're not allowed to go see your newborn, if you've seen the movie John Q, you know what my response would have been. Like, there is no
Ohio,
way you are stopping.
Well, and I won't say that they really tried anything when Anarcho Baby was born, but there were points where they initially had tried to push back on us trying to, foster that. And that was a year and a half into it. That was last year in 2021. And I said, I don't care. I looked at my coworkers who were the ones taking care of it because she was born in the hospital I worked for. I looked at them and I said, bring me my child. I don't care if I get fired.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of damage that was done, right? Kids who didn't get skin-to-skin contact, which is absolutely necessary for proper bonding.
Kids who were learning how to speak, who couldn't learn how to speak properly because they couldn't see the mouth movements.
Yeah. There's so many permanent problems that have been caused. Like, it's not even it'll take 10 years to go. It will never go away.
It'll be a generational problem.
Yeah, the damage they did will last forever now, and she's part of that problem that caused all that damage. And she's going, well, why can't we just forgive and forget? Because you permanently broke things.
Yep,
you did. Well, the rest of us said, don't do that. Don't do that. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. And we were yelling and screaming at you, and you were saying that you hoped that we died.
Yep.
Yeah, stairs and violent.
I have exactly. I'm sitting here with another meme that I made a long time ago stuck in my head where it says loading magazines with violent intent.
Hostile intent.
Hostile intent.
Yes.
Yeah, as Shell's just pointed out in the chat, remember, don't send your kids in Halloween masks to school. It will be hard for them to speak here and understand what's being said to them. It
Those
might
exact
interfere with the
words.
learning environment if they wear masks.
Those exact
All
words
right,
came
so
out of.
our-
Oh no,
our-
no, no, no,
our
hang on.
lawyers are-
To- no,
our
no,
lawyer-
to go
yeah.
along with that. This week was parent-teacher conferences because Chloe still demands that she goes to the local school because her friends go there, and so we had parent-teacher conferences. Her teacher happens to be the mayor of the town we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And they said the same thing to some of the kids that came in. One kid came in dressed as Deadpool. He had the whole head mask on and everything. Told him he had to take the thing off. And Chloe, I got a letter from the school because Chloe said, "But didn't we have to wear masks last year?"
Yeah.
And the teacher, her teacher, the mayor of the town, just stared at her.
Yeah.
Because how do you respond to that?
You can't. You can't.
Yeah,
You
because
just-
you
you have-
can't.
You have to shut up and own it.
Yep.
So
You have,
again,
and you have
like,
to ask for forgiveness, not for fucking amnesty.
Yes.
Yeah,
If
if
you
you
want to ask for
were-
forgiveness, we can talk about that.
Yes.
But you will not get amnesty.
So,
To which my response, if you do get on your knees and beg for forgiveness, is the Lord forgives. I do not.
we're gonna need a lot of ammo. All right.
I fully expect to go upstairs after this and look out my window and find the SUV parked out there.
All right. Well, if that's the case, we should go for that trick.
Why not?
Oh yeah.
Fuck it.
Oh, we're
Oh,
about to go for a hell
I
of
got
a
the
hat
old
trick.
problem solver. I still got the old problem solver right here. We're good.
2 alleged Boogaloo members arrested in Michigan and Ohio.
We know
Oh,
both of them.
I got to.
Guys.
Yes,
Yes, we
you
do
do.
know both of them. One of them, Timmy Teagan. He was actually on the steps with Magnus at the Michigan State House when Magnus made that speech that kind of put the movement on the map.
He's the one. So Tim is the one who tore down all of that Proud Boys shit across Michigan a little while back,
There's Timmy.
and had all the photos of them hauling down all these Proud Boys signs and burning them. So keep that in mind as you hear what you were about to hear from this article.
Yes, the FBI has arrested 2 alleged members of the far-right anti-government group. The far-right anti-government group. The Boogaloo Boys, with authorities increasingly concerned about the potential for violence in
I was
the
trying
lead
to
up
deny my
next week's
allegiance.
midterm elections.
Oops.
So again, I want to point out he tore down Proud Boys stuff and burned it and said, "Fuck
that's
you,
not
you racist fuck."
technically that's not what he was arrested for, but
Right, but I'm just saying, like,
that is
these
what
are
Timmy
things
did.
these are things that this man
Exchange.
did, and they're still calling him far right. Oh, are we switching hand? I'll be
We're
back.
switching. We're switching.
There you go.
Oh shit, that's not centered as hell.
We're so
I don't have that one. I need to
We're
get
so
it.
we're so fucking lame.
It's behind you, man. It's behind you on the flag. You just got to center that one.
Yeah, we're so fucking lame.
Yeah, right.
Patch
We're a
change.
bunch of pat whores, man. It is what it is.
Yeah, I found a new one. Patches and plates.
Ooh,
Yes, it's
damn it, that thing is
it's
off-centered. as
patches the letter N plates.
I
Still
like my no disassemble though.
shit. I love that no disassemble, man. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
No disassemble Johnny.
okay. The FBI arrested the FBI arrested 2 alleged members of the far right anti-government group, the Boogaloo Boys, with authorities increasingly concerned about the potential for violence in the lead up to next week's midterm elections. Timothy Teagan appeared Wednesday in federal court in Detroit on charges of being a drug user in possession of firearms and ammunition. And
The
given
drugs he allegedly used were pot in the state of Michigan, where it's legal.
Yes. And given a false statement in connection with the acquisition of a firearm, which means he checked the box saying he's not a drug user on 4473. Meanwhile, the FBI said in a criminal complaint filed Monday that there was enough evidence to charge Aaron McKillips, of Sandusky, Ohio, with illegal possession of a machine gun and interstate communication of threats. It said McKillips is a member of the Boogaloo Boys and is believed to be in the paramilitary group called the Sons of Liberty.
Hang on. Side note, hey Dave. I don't know if this is useful to you or not, but a baby formula container, seeing as you're a new parent, holds 450 rounds of 5.56.
Yeah. Dave says, if y'all are patch whores, does that make me a pimp?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You now you have to make a patch pimp.
Yep.
Yeah. Patch pimp. He's a patch pimp.
Own it, man. Own it.
I 100% approve. Jack says if someone designed
only if 5% goes to the local single moms.
Jack says if someone designed a pamphlet, get to know the Boogaloo Boys, I'd knock on their doors like a Jehovah's Witness for that one.
So I want to mention I had to run and piss quick, so I couldn't speak. But I did want to mention, first of all, Dave Patch Pimp one. It should be like the hat with the big feather, like a leopard print, giant leopard print, like oversized fedora with a big feather, and it just says Patch Pimp.
West Pimp style
in purple.
It's a
Patch Pimp in purple.
Wild West Patch Pimp style.
And felt. It has to be purple and felt.
Yeah. But no, so I love though that they call the Sons, like there could be no more ironic statement made in American press than the phrase paramilitary group the Sons of Liberty.
Shaw says, speaking of which, we need more single mom stories. They've been lacking. Dude, we had one last week. They ruled that the ban on the clothing for the bikini baristas was unconstitutional.
Yep.
So Hayden, Jaden, and Aiden's moms are they're working right now.
Okay.
I really wish Boober Eats had taken off.
Yeah, for sure.
The timing of law enforcement's action is notable in part because it comes just days before the midterm elections. After the FBI searched his home last month, Teagan told documentarian Ford Fisher, who's a fantastic follow, Ford Fisher, that federal agents questioned him specifically about potential violence being planned ahead of the election.
It does get awkward reading an article and about people being arrested by the feds and realizing that you have known every single one of these guys for several years.
Not only that, but you've had people ask you about that.
I'm just saying, like, as I read through this article earlier, I was like, oh, know him. Know him.
Yep.
Know him too.
Okay. They were very, very particular about the questions involving anything going on with the election. They were asking if I knew of any violent plans or any violent tendencies that could come forth about the election. They were asking if we had any plans to go down to the polls armed. That was a quote from Timmy.
Again, it needs to be mentioned here, yet again, and I've mentioned it before, if the federal government shows up to ask you questions, or police show up to ask you questions like this,
shut the fuck up.
Do not say anything. Nothing. Do not answer questions. Do not go, well, I was just trying. No, you weren't just trying anything. Don't talk to them. You know that whole anything you say can and will be used against you? Anything you say can and will be used against everyone associated with you. Do not say shit to them. Yep. Say, I reserve the right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions. They can't compel you to tell them anything.
Yep. All right. We need to hustle. Nationally, elections officials are concerned about a flood of conspiracy theorists signing up to work as poll watchers, with some groups that have trafficked in lies about the 2020 election, recruiting and training watchers. The arrest of the suspected Boogaloo Boys members was reminiscent of a similar move by the police in Washington, D.C., who arrested the leader of the Proud Boys. just days before the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol as lawmakers were certifying Joe Biden's wins.
It was
Members of the
definitely in no way a federal operation to preserve the source.
Members of the far-right group, along with leaders in another extremist group, the Oath Keepers, were later charged with seditious conspiracy.
Seditious, man, if I got charged with seditious conspiracy, I am wearing that as a badge of honor. I am going to get a t-shirt with my mugshot and the charge of seditious conspiracy made. I am going to frame the paperwork and put it on my fucking wall when I get out of prison.
That's going to my Twitter bio. Charged with seditious conspiracy.
Yeah, I was charged with seditious conspiracy in the United fucking States.
Certified seditious conspirator. I like that.
Hell yeah.
I like that.
The risk of fragmented far-right movements that promote civil division, anti-authority violence tend to escalate around elections, said Brian Levin, director of the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at CSU San Bernardino.
Just to address Dave's comment, you don't have to tell them your name unless they reasonably believe that you are connected with a crime.
Yes.
You don't have to identify yourself to them whatsoever at all. Nothing. You don't have to tell them jack shit. The Supreme Court has ruled this repeatedly. That is the nature of the Constitution. You do not have to identify yourself to law enforcement if they just ask. Flat out, nor should you, unless you absolutely have to.
Yes. I have trained my children, if they are approached by law enforcement and they are not, driving and get pulled over, the only thing they say is parent, lawyer.
Yep. McKillop's lawyer, Neil McElroy, said email Wednesday that McKillops was taken into custody and that he asked McKillops to release pending. But okay, in the criminal complaint against McKillops, the FBI alleges he made multiple online threats, including one to kill a police officer and another one to kill anyone he determined to be a federal informant. The FBI contends that McKillops provided other members of the Boogaloo Boys equipment to convert rifles into machine guns, as on a trip to Lansing, Michigan in April 2021. Quote, I literally handed out machine guns in Michigan. In September 2021, he said in a private chat group, quote, ain't got a federal badge off a corpse yet, so my time here ain't done yet, LOL, according to the complaint.
And what app was that chat on? It was on Signal. Yes. How do they know?
Stay out of those fucking groups that allow anyone.
Chris, you know what chat that was that he said that in?
Yes, yeah, I do.
We both do. In May of this year, McKillops and another user in the Signal messaging system threatened to kill a different Signal user in the belief that that person was a federal informant who worked for the FBI or the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which it's entirely possible that the person was. And in July, McKillops threatened a Signal chat group that he would, quote, smoke a hog, meaning to kill a police officer if conditions worsened following a police fatal shooting in Akron.
You're just talking about making dinner. Why everybody got their panties in a bunch? You know?
Yeah. How can they prove that he was anything other than that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what.
I've been trying to have a hog roast around here for a long time, and
we had a whole hog at my brother's wedding.
Also to answer,
I hope they took the polyester off first, but
yeah. Also to answer your question in the chat, most states you do need to produce a driver's license if you are driving and are pulled over. Not Texas. Interesting.
Yes. All right. Skipping a paragraph. During Teagan's hearing Wednesday, a federal magistrate ordered he be held pending detention hearing, dressed in a colorful Hawaiian-style shirt, a uniform of sorts for adherence to the so-called Boogaloo movement, which espoused that a second U.S. Civil War is coming. Tegan told the court
Have you
that he
looked at
might...
the recent numbers? About 50% of the country believes another
Yes.
civil war
So,
is coming.
Tegan is so down, he showed up to court in a Hawaiian shirt.
I know, it's fucking awesome. And is
Uh,
right on brand for that guy, too. That is
Oh, yeah.
definitely on brand for him.
Police in Detroit suburbs of Plymouth arrested Tegan on October 25th and charged him with the assault and battery and attack on his father. His dad's not a nice guy. FBI agents searching his room at his father's Plymouth home 4 days later found body armor, boogaloo, movement flags, and patches, and gas masks. According to the criminal complaint, they also seized a handgun from his brother's vehicle. According to the complaint, Tegan submitted
His brother's vehicle.
According to the complaint, Tegan submitted an ATF form on July 17th for the purchase of a firearm and certified that he did not use controlled substances. But on October 27th, agents seized packages of what appeared to be marijuana, bongs, and other drugs paraphernalia from Tegan's room.
Which is ridiculous because, again, in Michigan, it is not a controlled substance.
Mhm.
It is a perfectly legal substance in the state of Michigan.
You can only have one freedom at a time, Andrew. You cannot medicinally use a naturally provided herb and carry a firearm for self-defense at the same time.
That's just a little too much freedom. You both want to be able to choose as a consenting adult the things that go into your body and have the right to self-defense? No.
Yep. Okay. Tegan was among a dozen or so people who openly carried guns while demonstrating in January 2021 outside the Michigan Capitol in Lansing. That's when Magnus gave his speech that kind of went pretty viral.
Yeah, because it was awesome.
Some promoted the Boogaloo movement. Tegan told reporters at the time that the demonstration's purpose was, quote, to urge a message of peace and unity to the left and right. Some Boogaloo promoters insist that they aren't genuinely advocating for violence, but the movement has been linked to a string of domestic terrorism plots.
Listen, anybody who is actually a Boog Boy or a Boogaloo subscriber, if you want to call us that, we don't want violence.
Yep.
We just recognize that the need for violence may be there.
You remember when Magnus gave that speech?
Yes.
About where he said it's not about wanting violence. None of us wants violence. It's about the fact that when you look at the current political climate and the kinds of things that are happening and being said, you can't help but understand what's coming and that you should probably be prepared for that. You remember when he said that, and then the interviewer immediately responded with these, so you want a civil war? And he would just looked at them confused. Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that because the next article says Homeland Security admits it tried to manufacture fake terrorists for Donald Trump.
What a fucking shock that Grand Chairman Cheeto would want something like that.
The Department of Homeland Security launched
refuse to believe that the federal government would ever try and artificially manufacture a threat. They've never demonstrated willingness to do that before.
I've never heard of Operation Northwoods.
Michigan.
January 6th.
The Department of Homeland Security launched a failed operation that ensnared hundreds, if not thousands, of U.S. protesters at what new documents show was as a sweeping, power-hungry effort before the 2020 election to bolster Donald Trump's spurious claims about a, quote, terrorist organization he accused his Democratic rival of supporting. An internal investigative report made public this month by Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat of Oregon, details the findings of DHS lawyers concerning a previously undisclosed effort by Trump's acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, to amass secret dossiers on Americans in Portland attending the anti-racism protests in the summer of 2020, sparked by the police murder of Minneapolis father George Floyd.
You mean kind of like the snatch and grabs that DHS was doing on the ground in Portland? Or the MQ-1 that they had flying over Kenosha the night that the Kenosha kid did his thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I love the comment in the chat that just for Trump, of course.
Oh,
Right.
It definitely
Absolutely.
has never done that for anyone else. That definitely isn't a thing. No.
yeah,
No.
that would never happen to people
Never.
like Brandon Caserta and Adam Fox.
Yeah, never in a million years would the federal government actively entrap anyone. That's just absurd.
That's ridiculous.
No.
That's
No.
ridiculous.
It's not like they did anything like that, all the way back in the early '90s with some guy. What was it? He just wanted to be left alone. What was his name? Feel like it had to do with putting rugs together.
Yeah,
Weaver.
that was a stretch. That was not a good one.
Weaver stretch. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're reaching there.
That was bad.
It had something to do with shotguns that were actually legal length. And,
I was talking about names, not action.
No. Yeah, but
You guys are not that stupid. Well, let me rephrase that. Andrew, you are not that stupid.
first of all, yes, I am. Second of all,
yes. The report describes attempts by top officials to link protesters to an imaginary terrorist plot, an apparent effort to boost Trump's re-election odds, raising concerns now about the ability of a sitting president to co-opt billions of dollars worth of domestic intelligence assets for their own political gain. DHS analysts recounted orders to generate evidence of financial ties between promoters or protesters in custody, an effort that, had they not failed, would have seemingly served to legitimize President Donald Trump's false claims about, quote, Antifa, an organization that even his most loyal intelligence offers failed to drum up proof ever existed.
Shaller's taking a shot at you, Andrew.
yeah, just hold my beer and watch this. You're not that stupid. I assure you, I have not begun to be retarded.
I was trying to give you some credit. I was trying.
Dude, I was fucking infantry. There is no limit to the stupidity I am capable of.
Eric, what's up, homie?
Me.
Eric, Rebels Cubs podcast. He's in the chat. Did I miss the butt piracy? Yeah, we're post quotal, but we are talking about the DHS failing to manufacture terrorists, and Antifa under Donald Trump.
You know what's funny about this? What's funny about this is when they're like all shocked that like the president would co-opt a bunch of resources for his own personal gain. And I'm like,
it's that they failed to do it.
I know that they actually still couldn't do it is kind of what I'm shocked about. Like, really? You still managed to fuck that up? You guys suck. Like, a bunch of idiots, including one that they literally called Captain Autism in Michigan, managed to manufacture fucking a terrorist threat. All right? Like, you people are terrible at this. But like, this is like sad. Fucking Herbert Hoover. So, like, what's funny is like the U.S. intelligence apparatus has a massive history of exactly this kind of thing. Herbert Hoover, right, the man who founded the FBI, went on to be president of the United States. Yeah. Herbert Hoover once, while he was in charge of the FBI, had a problem with raccoons getting into his trash on his porch. And this is a true story, you can look it up. He got really irritated with it. So he made the FBI's like intelligence division, like their version of James Bond's Q, right? Make him a special trap that would essentially tear the raccoon in half if it caught it. And instead, so keep in mind, again, this is for his own personal use that he makes them do this. And then his neighbor's cat comes onto his porch. So he tries to destroy the equipment, bury the cat, and remove all evidence that it ever happened. It didn't work out that way, but that's what he tried to do. Hoover, of course, was the bloodthirsty motherfucker that just had everybody murdered instead of bothering to actually try and arrest any of them.
American Putin.
Yeah. I mean, Hoover's the reason that Bonnie and Clyde were just gunned down in their car instead of arrested, even though they were completely ambushed. They knew they were outnumbered and they just stopped. So, like, there's a long, proud history of misappropriating what is ostensibly public items for private gain in the government, especially the intelligence apparatus.
All right, let's get one more paragraph into this one. The DHS report offers a full accounting of the intelligence activities happening behind the scenes of the officers' protests containment. Quote, twisted efforts, Wyden said, of the Trump administration's officials promoting, quote, baseless conspiracy theories to manufacture of a domestic terrorist threat for the president's political gain. Because that's not currently happening.
Yeah, because that's definitely not
right.
That happens like
The report
constantly, endlessly.
The report describes the dossiers generated by DHS as having detailed the past whereabouts and the friends and followers of the subjects, as well as their interests, up to and including First Amendment speech activity. Intelligence analysts had internally raised concerns about the decision to accuse anyone caught in the streets by default of being an, quote, anarchist extremist, specifically because, quote, sufficient facts were never found to support such a characterization.
Like they would ever
right there is why I grabbed this patch right now, the probable drone target one.
Yeah.
I thought about wearing that one, and I went with Duncan Lemp instead. My name is Duncan Lemp. But you know, here's the thing, right? That they would never actually let facts get in their way. But on top of that, I just want to tie this into the last article we just talked about. Remember, they are using evidence from an encrypted signal chat against this guy.
That was against that was against the homie.
Yeah, and now we're talking about how they tried to artificially manufacture terrorist links into these protesters. And don't forget, we know Ryan Teeter, right? We all knew. I'm pretty sure we all knew Ryan.
Yep.
And Ryan, with the entrapment where these federal agents pretended to be from the PLO and convinced him to 3D print lightning links for them.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous. All right, let's jump on this last one. We only got a few minutes. Michigan, a court allows town to use drones to snoop without warrants.
Well, it's a good thing that was recently declared that you could use a shotgun to take out a fucking drone.
Can the government use drones to snoop on your property for zoning violations without having to get a warrant first? Right now, it appears that it can in Michigan. But a Long Lake Township couple is fighting back with the help of lawyers from the Institute of Justice. God, I love the Institute of Justice. Todd and Heather Maxson have been fighting the zoning enforcement office of Long Lake Township for more than a decade over the couple storing several vehicles on their property. The township accused them of storing, quote, junk, and brought a code enforcement suit against them in 2007. The Maxons fought back, and the township eventually agreed to drop the case as part of a settlement as long as the status quo was maintained. But according to court documents from the state of Michigan Court of Appeals, neighbors complained that the Maxons had expanded the number of vehicles they were storing on the property. Long Lake Township investigated again. The township was unable to determine any zoning violations from the ground, so they hired a drone company multiple times between 2010 and 2018 to surveil the Maxons' property, flying overhead and taking photographs. Eventually, Long Lake Township determined that the Maxons had expanded the number of stored vehicles on the property and filed a civil suit against the couple to attempt to force them to come into compliance.
It's their fucking property.
It's their fucking property.
But the township never got a warrant for the surveillance, and so the Maxson turned to the courts to suppress the photo evidence as a violation of their Fourth Amendment rights. Initially, Michigan's Court of Appeal agreed with the Maxons that Long Lake Township had violated the couple's rights and suppressed the evidence, but then the state's Supreme Court vacated that decision and kicked it back down to the Court of Appeals to determine whether the exclusionary rule, which prevents evidence collected illegally from being used in trial, actually applied to the case.
the appeals court already determined that the exclusion applies.
Yes.
And
But
if they
like
redetermine now that it's been kicked down, the exclusion will still apply, but it might not.
Yes.
The fact that they're
That's-
even willing to say it might not. When they illegally flew, they didn't have a warrant. They didn't have any probable cause, and they violated the airspace over top of their property. Now, I don't know what Michigan's law is, but in Wisconsin, your property rights extend to the core of the earth around your property and all the way up into space for your air rights. You own that whole shaft.
Yep.
So if they were to do that in Wisconsin, they'd be violating property rights in order to do that.
Hold on. They're not suing in criminal court, though. This is not a criminal thing. This is a civil thing.
They still have to meet the standard of proof. They
No,
still have to.
No, they
don't. Not in
No,
civil.
No. The appeals court ruled in September that because it was a civil lawsuit, the exclusionary rule did not necessarily apply. The U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly rejected the use of the exclusionary rule in civil cases. Chief Judge Elizabeth Gletcher wrote in the ruling, quote, "The United States Supreme Court has explained that the purpose of the exclusionary rule is twofold: to deter police misconduct and to provide a remedy where no other remedy is available. When analyzed under the federal or the Michigan Constitution, suppression of the drone evidence does not serve these goals. And so the evidence can be used in a civil proceeding."
You know, there is another solution for this, and it has to do with
I 100% expected the sound of a bolt going forward.
Well, I mean, that is definitely an option. But I was going to say there is another one, and it has to do with diesel fuel, a welding torch, and a Komatsu.
You know, the other thing is, too, is like, so the reality is that there is also no way that the couple in question,
yes, exactly, Josh,
could have known that the drone was operating at the behest of the police because it was not even a police
It
drone.
was not operating at the behest of the police.
it was operating at the behest
Code
of the
enforcement.
city government.
The behest of code enforcement. And they had hired an outside company, which means that this outside company flying this drone, if they had knocked the drone down and destroyed it, they were simply interfering with an act of trespassing on their property.
Yes.
What's important to remember is you can't possibly see any insignia on any drones. So if you were to, say, smack the thing down with some paintballs or a BB gun or something else, like a giant fucking tennis racket, which would be hilarious, by the way. It's a massive tennis racket. Thump.
Wile E. Coyote enters the chat.
Just a giant, it's like an 18-foot tall fucking fly swatter. Just whack.
With Acme on the stem.
Yeah, use code Anarchy Among Friends at acme.com for all your slingshot needs.
If you were to do that, they can't prosecute you for that because you were being trespassed on.
Yep. Well,
So
it's a weird fucking rule, and it's a weird fucking law, and it still pisses me off.
this is a nonsensical ruling because what the court wants is to give more power to code enforcement.
It's the equivalent of prosecuting people or civil lawsuits because of what you see on Google Maps.
Yeah.
Case in point, one of the homes I lived in back in Moreno Valley, way back before I was an anarchist, the homeowner, the city of Moreno Valley, went through Google Maps and compared permits to Google Maps and forced the homeowner to remove a rear room enclosed patio area that they built and a carport on their own property
because they didn't get a permit.
Because they didn't get a permit. They saw it pop up on Google Maps and was like, well, that's not supposed to be there. You didn't get a permit for this. So they did this across the entire city of almost 200-something-thousand people.
Yep.
And sent all these mass letters out to people that violated code enforcement.
Think about what a loser you have to be that you are willing to spend hundreds of hours looking through photos.
That person right now is asking for COVID amnesty.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like the amount of you have to be such subhuman scum to find yourself to be a good person because you looked through thousands of photos on Google Maps and compared them to thousands of permit applications and approvals to determine people who had not properly paid blood money to the government to make modifications to their own property. Like, you are shit. You are a shit human being if that is your fucking job. I really, honestly hope you accidentally take a bath with a toaster.
Your radio slides in. Oops.
Oh, shucks. I guess the bass was a little much and it vibrated off. Oh, well. Like, dude, I hope that wild wolves invade your property and consume your genitals. Like, you are such a horrible human being.
May the fleas of 1,000 camels infest your genitals.
Exactly.
And your arms be too short to reach.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope that every time you go to pick up your TV remote, the batteries are dead. For the rest of your life. Like, if there is one curse I could pay some voodoo priestess in Louisiana to put on you, it would be that forever, whenever you touch a TV remote and go to turn the channel or change things on your streaming, the remote batteries are dead. No, that's what I hope.
I would hope that whenever they go to start their car radio automatically plays the 199rides.com commercials.
Oh, God. I don't know that I would even wish that on my worst enemy. I'm pretty sure that Satan plays that in hell. 199 rides! Woo! Good Lord. That was the correct volume for it, too. I just want to
throw some links and let's get out of here.
If you're a caffeine addict like I am, use the link either in the description or on our link tree. Go to the coffeebrandcoffee.com. It's Jeremy from the Cordings Coffee Company. And buying your coffee there supports us a little bit. I appreciate it.
Yep. Also, the link is in our link tree.
It is. A lot of our links are in the link tree. If you want to care for your beer like a Viking.
All of our links are in the link tree.
Well, look at that. It's almost like that's what it's for.
What?
What? It's almost like that, yeah.
Might possibly be in the name. If you want to care for your beard like a Viking, like I do, and have a shiny, supple, soft, wonderful beard that smells fantastic, you want to hit up thebeardstruggle.com. They are currently running a ton of specials. They have a ton of cool stuff on massive sale right now. And if you use the code InkedAnarchist15 at checkout, you save yourself 15% off of everything. Your whole cart. Isn't that cool? You can get boxers from them. They're very nice boxers. You can get a beard straightener that's made out of carbon fucking fiber. You can get all sorts of cool stuff. You can get all of their new scents, including their platinum scents. And personally, though, I recommend Odin's Virtue, which is one of their gold scents. It smells like apple, oud wood, and cinnamon. It's my favorite. It's what I get. But they even have stuff for ladies. They have cologne. They have perfume. They have all sorts of cool stuff. And that's, again, InkedAnarchist15 at thebeardstruggle.com. Also, I'm an affiliate of Reaper Brand Apparel Company. It is a clothing brand with an amazing message consistently. It is super awesome. You should definitely check them out. Take the Broken Not Defeated challenge, the BND challenge, 10-day challenge, and find out your true potential. It's super awesome. I love the brand. I love the message. I love the clothes. They're all super high quality. I love the hats. They have tons of hoodies. They have all sorts of cool stuff, and you should definitely check them out. And if
you all right there, Josh?
Anarcho Kitty just fucking took off with the power cord off my computer.
But if you use the link,
Fuck your podcast. Boom.
Remember that time when the federal government used a cat as an investigative tool and it was a robot kitty?
they did. Yeah.
I'm just saying options. It's possible.
Cats aren't real. Anyway, so
Just like birds.
just like birds. No animals are real. It's all myth. If though you
Then
use
that squirrel,
link
that robo squirrel tasted
description.
really good.
If you use the link in the description, you get 15% off. If you want to go to the website, you can just use code InkAnarchist10 and you can get 10% off that way. You can also, let's see, check out where to put it. There we go. Dave, Poppins Patches, right? Homie Dave makes some
Tropical
awesome patches.
fish.
They're super high quality. This is the tropical fish one. It glows in the dark. Heads up. No one told me that when I bought the first one, and it was weird. Make sure you check him out. He's got all sorts of cool stuff that will both spark your nostalgia and just look in general super cool. He's got his pop culture stuff. It's all awesome. You definitely want to check it out. We are also an affiliate of RK Spookware. If you need his stuff, you know what he does. Make sure you check him out. And if you use the affiliate link in the description, you also support the channel. So make sure you do that as well.
It's also on our link tree.
Also in the link tree. Yeah. I know some of you
Almost
have
like
actually
there's a purpose
ordered
for that.
stuff from Reaper because I got commission for that. So I'm super happy about that. So
Woo!
if you are one of the people who
Yeah.
ordered stuff.
Yep. Andrew was really happy to buy that pack of gum with the commission.
It was super awesome. It was. I could almost afford a gallon of gas.
No.
Whoa, that much? That much? You can almost afford a gallon of gas that much?
I could actually.
Not in
If I'm
California.
honest,
Oh,
if I'm honest, I can,
it's not California gas. Okay.
I could afford 2 gallons of gas. In fact, at this point,
Nice. So,
2
on that,
whole gallons of gas.
on that note, Josh, give us a piece of life advice.
I hate when you do that to me.
You don't talk enough during the podcast, so I have to pick on you when I can.
I talked enough today, I thought.
No.
I'm just gonna refer back to your patch. Keep your rifle by your side. Always be prepared.
No, I don't accept that. That was weak.
Yeah,
No,
that was
that's too bad. You
lame.
accepted.
That was. Really
I
lame.
have keto peanut butter cookies waiting for me, so I don't give a damn.
That's a piece of life advice.
That's a life piece of life.
That's life advice.
I'll accept that. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.